Are you a new cook that's mastered a few dishes, but now you're ready to challenge yourself and take your skills to the next level? Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about 3 dishes that will challenge you and test your understanding of the fundamentals of cooking. And if you could master these 3 dishes or variations of them, then you've officially made it to the next level of your cooking journey. Let's dive in. Okay, so before you try these recipes, what should your skill sets currently be, and what should you already know how to make and have already mastered? We're not talking about barbecuing. Everything that I'm discussing today is in the kitchen using pots and pans and so forth. First thing that I think you should already know how to do is cook a good steak. It doesn't matter the type of steak, whether it's New York, sirloin, ribeye, filet mignon. Well, most of us usually start off anyways by learning how to cook a good steak. And what usually happens to some folks is they master that, but they don't challenge themselves any other way. But learning how to cook a good steak is important because it teaches you how to sear your proteins, to caramelize them and render the fat properly. It also teaches you temperature control because you have to get your pan or your skillet piping hot in order to sear your steak properly, and then you have to lower your temperatures to add the butter in and the herbs like rosemary or garlic and so forth. And depending on how thick your steak is, you might even have to finish it in the oven to get to that perfect medium rare. So learning how to cook a proper steak, I think, is crucial. The next dish that I think you should kind of know how to master before you try these 3 dishes is learning how to cook a good pasta meal, whether that's fettuccine or shrimp scampi. It doesn't have to be something too advanced, and you don't have to make your own pasta. You can buy store-bought pasta, that's fine. But learning how to make a pasta meal is important. It's gonna teach you timing. Get that water boiling, start searing your proteins, take that fond that's left over in your stainless steel skillet, make an amazing sauce out of it. Everything's working separately, but they all start coming in together, and at the end, you have an amazing pasta meal. So a pasta meal really teaches you timing, efficiency, and doing multiple things at once, separately, but ultimately bringing them together and serving a dish that's gonna blow people's minds away. So a pasta meal is a good place to start. And last but not least, being able to pan fry fish without it sticking horribly or, being raw in the center. That's another good thing to master because fish is very delicate. So if you can cook a salmon in your skillet and you can sear it to get that crispy skin and avoid it getting dry on you while still being flaky and flavorful, then you've mastered fish. Now the biggest challenge with fish is it usually sticks in the pan, but that's all temperature control. That's all the fundamentals of cooking, right? Preheating your skillet, lowering the temperature when you need to, getting that perfect sear, not overcooking it. You want that flakiness, but you still want it moist and super, super tender. So mastering fish is a crucial one. Once you've kind of mastered those or variations of them, cooking a nice medium rare steak, a pasta meal, and fish, preferably salmon, then I think you're ready for these 3 recipes. So the first dish that I highly recommend you try out is actually rack of lamb. I know you may not like lamb in general, you may find it too gamey, but that's besides the point. Learning how to cook lamb will actually test your skills and really sharpen them up. Now, you don't have to make rack of lamb. Any lamb will do, but I like suggesting rack of lamb because it ends up being a roast, it feeds a lot of people, so you can get a lot of different opinions, and it's fine dining, right? Rack of lamb is really gourmet, and the way you prepare it can just blow people's minds away. So why rack of lamb? Well, rack of lamb is gonna test your understanding of the basic fundamentals of temperature control, searing, and finishing off your protein in the oven. But it's really gonna kind of diverge away from steaks because lamb is naturally fatty. It's really gonna teach you how to properly season your proteins and avoid certain flavors, unwanted flavors. What do I mean by that? Lamb is naturally gamey, and if you season it incorrectly, you are going to enhance that gamey flavor. Some people like that, some people enjoy that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're not shooting for that, and if you have that on your menu or you're telling people, hey, I'm gonna make a specific rack of lamb and it comes out really gamey, it's kind of game over, right? So yeah, rack of lamb is finicky. I like to keep my rack of lamb simple, Mediterranean style with the proper herbs. Lamb loves garlic, it loves olive oil, salt, pepper, and certain Italian seasonings, right? Like rosemary, thyme, even some basil, some parsley, things like that. What lamb does not like is acidic foods like lemon or any variations of that. If you put too much lime or lemon in your lamb, it's gonna raise the intensity of that gaminess, right? And you can actually mask the gaminess a bit for your guests that may not like lamb too much by making a sauce. And you probably guessed it. You can take some rosemary, some garlic, maybe some thyme, some parsley, and put it in a bowl with some olive oil, and you got yourself a nice dipping sauce to complement the lamb. You can get your lamb cut all fancy where the bone is exposed. It's called Frenched lamb, and a lot of people like that for presentation purposes. So lamb can be a really impressive dish to kind of showcase your skills. And there's nothing wrong with being a little bit gamey if that's what you want. So rack of lamb, with all the different recipes out there, is really going to test your understanding of properly seasoning something to get a specific taste profile, a specific outcome, whether you're trying to mask that gaminess a bit or slightly elevate it. And it all depends on who you're cooking for and what you're trying to achieve. Okay, the next dish is more complicated, and we're gonna get more complicated as we go. And it's actually birria. Birria is a good dish to really test out your skill sets that you've learned for different techniques over the last few years. It's gonna test out your understanding of searing, fond, braising, and combining different spices to make a complicated end product. So with birria, you're usually going to use a Dutch oven to mimic that underground temperature to get that perfect fall off the bone meat. And you're usually going to sear chuck roast or short ribs as your proteins and then braise them in a liquid. But before you braise them, you're going to take that fond that you just got from searing and you're going to complicate things, right? Elevate that taste. And then on top of all that, when you do braise everything in a liquid, you're going to take some chilies, you're going to de-seed them, you're going to roast them, put them in a blender, pour that into your liquid. You're going to take many different spices, you're going to toast them, grind them down, and add that to the dish. I mean, it gets really complicated. There's a lot going on. Not to mention, you're going to seal everything in banana leaves if you want to go more traditional, or aluminum foil. Put that in the oven, let everything blend perfectly, take it out, and then you can serve birria tacos, or you can serve it as a soup or a main dish. It's entirely up to you. Birria is going to feed a large crowd. It's very complicated. It's going to test your understanding of seasoning and spices and braising and searing and fond and everything in between. And you're going to combine everything that you learned to make this ultimate dish. We love birria, and I love making it. But it's a bit taxing because one little ingredient is off and you can taste it, and my family can taste it, and they usually let me know. So when I do it, I'm laser focused and I don't want to be bothered. I want to make sure everything's perfect, and I just take my time. And that's kind of the key to cooking. Take your time, learn the steps, focus, and you'll be okay. Don't be intimidated. Try birria out for yourself. I highly recommend it. It's just absolutely amazing, especially when you're making birria tacos and you add that melted cheese. It's fantastic. Okay, the final dish that's really gonna take you to the next level, and it's super expensive and fancy, is the beef Wellington. The beef Wellington is gonna test your understanding of fundamentals to the extreme, because if you mess it up, you just ruined a really expensive dish. Traditionally, it's made with the most sought after and the most expensive cut of beef, the tenderloin. You got to get the whole tenderloin. You're not gonna go cheap on this. But the reason why I chose a beef Wellington is because it's very complicated, and if you don't follow the steps perfectly, you will ruin it. See, with the previous dishes like birria or the rack of lamb, if you do mess up, there is a grace period where you can kind of redeem yourself and save the dish. It may not be perfect in what you hoped for, but it's still gonna come out good. You'll be okay. With the beef Wellington, you can screw it up really easily or dry it out or overcook it, and then there's really no way to recover. So with the beef Wellington, you're gonna take your searing skills and you're gonna apply that to the protein, which you should have already mastered by now. And that's really all you're gonna do regarding searing. So that's simple enough. But then you're gonna take some mushrooms, you're gonna blend that together with chestnuts, you're gonna heat them on a skillet to evaporate the moisture properly. And then you're gonna coat your beef with some mustard or horseradish or whatever it is that you're specifically looking for. And then to complicate things even more, you're gonna add another protein, Parma ham, or I've actually seen some people make a variation of this with pastrami, which I've tried and was actually really, really good. But all those things need to come together perfectly. And then you gotta wrap this whole thing and make sure you have a nice, even, uniform shape so it can cook evenly and properly. And then to complicate things even more, you're gonna wrap it in puff pastry with some egg yolk to get that perfect golden crust and put the entire thing in the oven to cook to perfection. So you can see it's really complicated, but it's really going to test your abilities to follow instructions and the ingredients to a T, or you're going to ruin the dish. So highly recommend doing a beef Wellington. We usually reserve this very expensive meal for Christmas time. It's part of our Christmas dinner. Everybody knows at our house, we're making some beef Wellingtons, and everyone shows up and they always leave with a huge smile on their faces. So master the beef Wellington and you've mastered your abilities to follow complicated directions all the way through. Okay, so that's really the 3 recipes. I know there's many variations of them. There's all types of different ways to make them from different cultures, but try to find a specific one. Whichever one speaks to you and is gonna get you your goal, right? Your ultimate goal of a specific taste or a specific texture from a specific region. Like I said, rack of lamb is incredibly popular and there's many different ways to do it. Birria is incredibly popular and everyone has their secrets. And as you guys know, beef Wellington was made famous by Chef Gordon Ramsay, but now there's other variations of it. So by all means, do the traditional recipes first, try to find the most authentic recipes, master them, and then you can do the variations or even add your own spin to it. But mastering the steps and how to do them properly is gonna get you to that next level. And it's gonna make everybody around you super happy. And you're gonna get a lot of props and kudos, and you're gonna start noticing a lot of people showing up to your door right around dinner time for some reason. That's it for me, guys. I hope you found this video informative. Check out some of my other videos, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Hey, everybody. How'd you guys like that last video? Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified on my next video. And if you can, please share with your family and friends. I would really appreciate it. Here's some more content that I think you guys are really gonna enjoy. Check them out. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.